It's simple to see it's Ed Magic TV, so the world can believe it's Ed Magic TV.
Welcome back to another edition of Celebrity Scene News right here on Ed Magic TV. I'm Pete Allman, and when we talk about art and we talk about the creativity, how it's similar to that of motion pictures, we think about Mr. Tony Curtis. And Tony, once again, it's good seeing you.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to see you.
Well, from
So artistic looking.
well, thank you, Tony.
Yeah, you should run around with a t-shirt and kind of rugged pants. You don't need a suit. And we'll get into that later. All right, now, where are we?
Well, where we are right now is we're at the Roosevelt Hotel at the Turner Classic Movie Festival, Some Like It Hot with Marilyn Monroe. And I must compliment you. I've always loved your art. We talked a long time ago about your art, but art is a situation that I appreciate, and I'd like to draw a correlation between the art and making movies, acting in movies, and your thoughts on it.
Yes. There's a relationship, a very strong one, between, art is a many splendid thing. You can start out with pencil drawings on a paper. How deep do you get into them? Do you draw whatever line you think is there? Or do you kind of give it a softer look? And going from that all the way through all of the art exhibits, all of the different forms of it, it's a cornucopia of incredible schemes and desires and shapes. And that's what makes painting such a pleasure for me. And I've painted off. When I was a kid, my father we had a tailor store on the 75th Street and 3rd Avenue. And I was just a kid. I was 6 or 7. And I would become very impatient because I had nobody to take me anywhere. My father would give me a piece of chalk. Mm-hmm. He was a regular tailor, and he'd put me out in front of the tailor store. And you know how the squares of the streets are? Cement squares, they put them in that way. And in front of every store was 2 or 3 of these squares. So my father put me outside and say, there. And he'd point, and I knew what he meant when he showed me one of those squares. And I started using the streets of New York City as my sketch pad. How lucky could you get? All you had to do was look up, and there was a fire truck. Look up, and there was a cab. Look up, and there was a horse pulling bananas. Look up, and there were 2 kids fighting, kicking the hell out of each other. So this is what it gave me. And I saw it as a reportive experience. And it is for me. Whenever I draw what I see. And what I see is intriguing and interesting.
And then when you get involved in a part and somebody says, look, you can have the creative control to do a particular part. And perhaps it's a message or a humanistic endeavor, if you will, within the concept of the film. How do you get into that character?
You've got to really know yourself, and at the same time know what the material is trying to say to anybody. Now, I would say that 80-90% of the films that are made have no intent at all. Oh, it looks like a love story. Oh, it looks like an action movie. It looks like a but they're not. How can they be? They're on a flat surface outside of your living, and chances are it's not your neighborhood being photographed. So, as my father would say, goonish from goonish, nothing from nothing. So it frees you. And until I learned that, I became free. Here I am, a kid from New York, Manhattan. Well, we were a little far away from it. But that's never left me. That knowledge I had as a kid, I got now. And I can't keep my mouth shut.
As we leave on this broadcast, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one thing, and that is, how do you overcome obstacles? What is it in you that allows you to overcome an obstacle, especially as you were growing up, Tony?
You got to be prepared for everything. You can't go out in the streets and walk around in a neighborhood you don't know. You just can't do it. Someone's going to accost you, going to stop you. See, I'm now talking like that kid in New York City that I was. You were always out looking for danger and try to stay out of it. And if you do it that way, then you get to learn. But you've got to be prepared to do everything, don't you see? You got to be prepared to throw a punch and take a punch. You got to be prepared for a guy climbing on your back when you're not looking. You've got to become who? Who was the great actor? Errol Flynn. He was prepared for anything. He could fence, throw punches, kiss women. He could do anything. And so you've got to be able to do that. When I got any part in a movie, I wanted to be sure I could do everything in a movie. I couldn't fly a plane. There were certain things I couldn't, but I could do all the rest. I could jump out of a window this size and be caught in a net. My safety was always in the eyes of not me, but the people that worked for me. So what am I going to be? So I was braver than, I'm not going to talk about other people, but I was braver than myself. So I could do a lot more. And that's my secret.
Tony, I want to thank you for talking with us today.
Oh, we could do this for a week.
We sure could, Tony.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Tony. Keep your visions positive, keep positive people around you, and we shall see you next time. Bye for now.